rawr.
Wait.
Yes. I think we found our puppeteer.
This is why we're...
I'll wrap my arms around your throat.
Until your face turns blue.
How we doing, everybody? This is Case from Q101. Of course, we are sitting in the lounge here. Across from me, people that have shared seats now. Tony Khan's been in here. Ricochet's been in here. Rocky Romero most recently
were they sitting
in here.
In these specific seats?
They were sitting in these specific
Do you know
seats.
which one?
Who would you like to sit in the same seat as?
Rocky.
Okay, well, you are sitting in the chair that Rocky Romero sat in.
Let's go! I'm
Kyle Fletcher, of course. Welcome to Q101. Skye Blue here as well. Bensonville's own. You're sitting in the chair that Tony Khan and Ricochet sat in.
Hey.
Welcome back
I'll
to
take
Chicago,
Rocky.
guys. How we doing?
Welcome back. We live here.
Yeah.
You live here now?
Yeah.
I knew she lived here. I didn't know you lived here.
Where else am I
could've
going to
forced
live?
him.
I don't know. You're down under. I didn't know if you were still making the
Still
plane
live.
rides.
Yeah, I make a 24-hour trip every single week to come to work.
You're
Yeah.
a hustler. I assume that's what you were doing.
I ain't hustling that hard, brother. No, thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here. As we talk, it'll be tomorrow at the Now Arena AEW Beach Break for Dynamite and Collision. AEWTix.com. That is TIX.com for limited tickets remaining. I am so glad we're here. I'm so glad we're talking. I wanted to start before we talk individually about both of your careers, the wider wrestling story that is going on this week, the passing of Sabu, unfortunately.
Of course,
Kyle, if you're comfortable, we were talking a little bit before we started recording about your one Sabu story. Would you mind sharing your one Sabu story?
So when I lived in the UK for a couple of years, he would come over and do like the odd independent show here and there. I think I'd probably been there for maybe like a year at this point. So I'm still like very new in the scene. Very timid. Don't really want to talk to people, but like said hi to him, came to this show. And then someone was running around the locker rooms being like, oh, Sabu's asked for some wrist tape. It's like one of the things on the indies. People forget wrist tape all the time. And I'm like, oh, yeah, Sabu, of course. I can give you some wrist tape. I had a brand new massive roll of wrist tape. It's like this big. And on the indies, when you're scraping money together, buying wrist tape, it's a luxury.
That's a purchase.
You know?
Absolutely.
Exactly. I never saw that wrist tape again.
No, Sabu took it?
He took my entire roll of wrist tape. But honestly, he can have it. I was like, afterwards, I was like, dude, it's Sabu. Like, yes, you can have my $3 wrist tape roll. That's fine.
That is too bad. We'll pour one out for Sabu. We'll pour one out for your wrist tape as well.
Definitely.
Sorry that you never saw it again. Obviously, Skye Blue returning to the ring tomorrow, AEW Beach Break. That's going to be a live Dynamite on TBS. Bring us back to where you got hurt, when you got hurt, how you got hurt, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, so I got hurt on July 20th. It was a collision. I was the only one there. Kyle was home, and I was all the way in Arlington, Texas.
Terrifying. Sitting on the couch watching live. Worst experience of my life.
Yeah, and I was catching a dive, and I've caught dives before, so I didn't think anything of it. And it was, as she jumped, I could tell that there was like something off with it. And it was either her head was hitting the floor or I was going to dive and catch her, and I dove and caught her. And the second I felt it, I had rolled over to get up because I had to crawl to where I was going. I felt my foot dangling from my leg. It was literally, I could feel it detached. It was the grossest feeling I've ever felt. And before I even like told the ref, I was like, hey, my ankle is messed up. There was already a doctor in front of me because the doctor, her name's Eva, I love her to death. She was like, you're done. Like, you're not getting up. I was like, no, let me finish the match. And I tried to get up and I screamed. She goes, sit down. You're done. I was like, okay. And I was terrified because I just wanted to finish the match. Like, and I had never felt anything like this. This was the first major injury. But yeah, so I snapped my fibula and this little rotatey bit. This is my really gross scar.
Wow. I don't know if we can get that on camera.
I can't contort it. But this is my messed up scar.
That is
Look at
gnarly.
this delightful thing that she'll have on this angle forever.
Yes,
now.
forever. They told me that this was as pretty as it was.
And how many screws and plates?
So there's 2 long screws on this side
two
going
screws
up.
going this way,
And then
like this long, up
this
into her
guy
leg, and then this one.
Is a plate and 6.
Plate and 6 screws.
And I have no feeling on this side.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that was probably the scariest thing ever. And then they made me get in an ambulance, which was even worse. I was like, no, I'll just Uber to the hospital, guys. And they're like, you can't do that. I was like, oh. So then I'm hanging out in the hospital with Queen Amanada and one of the trainers in my wrestling gear in Texas, and they were all looking at me. They were like, what is she wearing? Like, I had glitter everywhere. I was crying, and I was like, someone tell Mom and Kyle that I'm alive, please. But yeah, it was terrifying, but this was, the longest 10 months I think I've ever...
But hey, it's over now.
It's over.
The hard part's done now, yeah.
What's the rehab process been like?
Oh my goodness, it was so much harder than I anticipated.
Really?
Because I didn't realize how much you use your leg for.
The thing with the legs is you use them.
And even just like trying to learn how to walk again was difficult. I was butt scooting upstairs.
The butt scoot. Classic butt
It was
scoot.
his favorite thing ever.
It's so funny.
When he would have to go to work, Robbie Eagles stayed with us for a little while. I'd be like, Robbie, can you carry this? Robbie, can you carry me? Like, I can't carry things. But once I could start to like walk and move and start bunny hops, then it got a lot easier. Then I was like, oh, I'm actually like making progress and doing things. But yeah, it's still like, even like bunny hopping was so hard. And I remember the day I got to bunny hop was the day of his steel cage. And I was like, Kyle, I did bunny hops today. And he goes, you don't want to know what I'm going to do today. I was like, oh,
It's just
okay.
a Spanish fly off a cage. Don't worry about it.
All in a day's work.
Come on
brother,
now.
you
And
know?
thank goodness I could bunny hop, because then I'm jumping up and down like, oh my God, are you alive? Are you alive? Like,
Which I was doing the same thing, and we had no relationship at that point. I was going, oh my God, what's happening to him? First of all, a perfect use of Robbie Eagles saying, carry this, carry me, perhaps. Couldn't imagine.
He did once.
Thank you, Robbie Eagles, for that.
Big ups.
Big ups to Robbie Eagles, big ups to Bensonville. Of course, was there one moment where you felt like maybe this is it? You know, young woman, wrestled a lot of years at this point, but still only 25, I believe, which is terrifying because I'm 26, and I just, oh my God. But was there any moment where you were like, maybe this is the last time that I step into a ring?
That definitely crossed through my head a bunch of times, especially at night when I couldn't sleep, and it'd be like 4 a.m, and there was times that I would have to just lay with my leg straight, because if I moved it was just in pain. But this one was the best, because he would be like, no, tell the voices to shut up, because you're going to wrestle. You're not going to just sit on this couch and mope. And yeah, he was by far the biggest support I could ever asked for.
I like to hear that. Kyle Fletcher, let's talk about you.
Oh, if we must.
I'm going to. I'll start with this. I work for a website called voicesofwrestling.com. Every year we do a 30 under 30 poll where we try to figure out who the 30 best wrestlers under 30 are. I got news for you. You're going to do very well this year.
Number one?
When I turn in my ballot, you will be number one.
Let's go.
Something has happened with you, and tell me if I'm wrong. It seems like your physical ability and your mental ability have finally hit the same level, and you're now in what I think is safe to say, hopefully a long peak, but the beginning of the peak of your career. What has happened over the last 12 months that you feel has led you to the success you've had?
It's so many different things, and I think that's the hard thing. It's hard to put my finger on like a single thing of what it is. It's wrestling is such everything needs to fall into place at the right time. Obviously, it started with my tag partner getting hurt, Mark Davis. He's been super unlucky, which sucks for him, and it's like a terrible thing as a friend. But for me, it was an opportunity. It was like, oh, okay, I'm not just going to sit around and wait for him to come back. I'm going to go and show what I can do. And then that's how it started. I think the week after he got hurt, I wrestled Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega in the same week.
That's good company.
Exactly. So, and then from there, everything kind of felt like it happened very fast. It was like I had those opportunities. I got more opportunities. I got more opportunities. And it came down to me being ready for those opportunities. It came down to me over preparing and knowing like when those opportunities came, because I knew they would come at some point, that I was going to over deliver and smash it out of the park. And I think that was what it was. It was every time I got given a little opportunity, it was like I smashed it. I did more than people thought I would. And then from there, it just kind of snowballs. And then over time, getting more of those big opportunities, those big matches, I have now gotten to a point where I'm so confident in the ring that when I'm out there, I'm just having fun more than anything. I'm out there and I'm just like, my real personality is coming out because I feel so confident. I'm not trying to play a character. I'm not like thinking about what move I'm going to do next. I'm literally just absorbing the energy and reacting to what's happening around me, the fans, whatever it is. So I think that's it. I think it's the number one thing is the confidence that I've now gained. And when I'm out there, I'm just so confident in my ability that, yeah, I'm really just having a great time.
That's good to hear. I feel like the first time you came on my radar was you and Mark Davis. You guys were over for WrestleMania weekend, and you wrestled Tanahashi and Juice Robinson, I believe.
That was my very first match in the U.S., believe it or not.
So this is kind of what I want to ask is, I feel like ever since that point, your career's only gone up. You've been put in these very big positions, and you've had to mature in the public spotlight. And I'm just curious, I've literally seen you grow in terms of the stature of your career. I've seen you grow physically.
Of course.
Young Kyle Fletcher, a skinny man. The Kyle Fletcher that sits before me, very masculine, very muscular.
Still very skinny.
But looking good. I am curious, though, at what point in your career was there a specific match or maybe a time frame where you realized, like, oh, I made the right decision in life. I'm so glad that this is what I pursued, and now I feel confident doing this thing that, I trained all these years for.
So this is going to sound very funny probably to a lot of people. I still don't feel like that. I think I'm very, probably sometimes to my detriment, not so much just hard on myself, but like there's always more that I want to do. At this point in my career, I've achieved so much and I've done so much and I'm at this level and my life is so awesome, but I still want to do more. So I'm not going to, I physically cannot sit around and go, oh, I've made it, guys. Like, this is awesome. Look at me. I'm so cool. Like, it's like, no, I still want to win as many world championships as I can. So it's like, there's still work to do. And when there's still work to do, then I can't sit around and be happy with what I've done.
Of course. Speaking about development, Skye, let's go back to you momentarily. Friend of the show, Dr. Keith Lipinski, says hello. He was a producer in AEW when you worked there.
Oh, my goodness.
And
Hi.
I'm just curious as to what role Chicago's best independent AEW played in your development as a younger wrestler.
I feel like I won't say all of them. There was a couple road trips I did, but majority of when I felt comfortable with myself on the indies was in Chicago. AEW was a big one. CSW was another big one. And I just wanted to learn and wrestle as many different people as possible. And I feel like Chicago indies definitely give you the opportunity to do that. There's so many indies in Chicago. And even if like you drive like 2 hours or 3 hours outside of Chicago down to like the middle of nowhere, Illinois, there's still opportunities down there too. And I don't know, I just had so much fun on the indies and I learned from so many different people and I just had fun with all my friends and we would just go on road trips and wrestle.
I love that. Between your time in the indies and your time in AEW, do you feel like you've had one opponent that has defined your career? Do you have a person that you really like being in the ring with?
Good question. I want to know the answer.
I feel like I've wrestled so many girls so many times. I will say one girl I wrestled, so she was my very first match. Her name was Sierra. She's from Wisconsin. But we have wrestled it was my first match, and then we wrestled years and later and years and years. We've done indies. We did her home promotion, my home promotion, and I feel like every time we wrestled, we grew more and more. We'd learn more about each other, how each other moves, and like the more I learned in my wrestling career, the more she's learned. So I always loved wrestling her. I feel like that one is probably the one that stands out the most, just because literally from the beginning till now, I've wrestled her countless times.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I feel like I just want to learn, especially in the indies, I wanted to learn from everyone because I feel like everybody trained somewhere different. Everybody had different styles, different backgrounds. And, like, I tried to be a little sponge and just absorb it all. Like, I tried to do lucha. I tried to do American style. I tried to just get my hands onto everything.
Absolutely. Kyle, I think there's two people when we talk about feuds that define your career. Obviously, Will Ospreay, which I want to talk about in just a second. But you're on this...
Nice.
No.
Some people have said this. Read the comment. Will Ospreay interview with Q101. You can read the comments. Some people might be saying the same thing.
Hell yeah.
You wrestle Mark Briscoe a lot.
Yeah.
I've always held the belief, going back and watching Mark Briscoe back in the Frontier Fieldhouse in Chicago Ridge for Ring of Honor shows, that there's something about him.
You saw him live there? Like, you went to that's so crazy to me.
So
that's so cool.
The thing with Mark Briscoe, and I've always said this, is there's something different. Like, watching him on camera, it's like, this guy's incredible. He's one of the Briscoe brothers. It's fantastic. You watch him in person, and you're like, oh my God, Mark Briscoe's the greatest wrestler to ever exist. What is it about him that seems to bring out the best in you? Because the chemistry you guys have, obviously people gravitate towards the matches with Ospreay, but the Mark Briscoe matches are, I think, just as good.
Of course. I feel like with Mark, it's kind of just the thing I love about wrestling and the thing that I try and capture is like that real emotion. When I'm in there, I am trying to produce the real emotions in myself and in my body so that like the crowd can feel it. And I think that is something that Mark has down to a T. When he is out there, he is insane. He is redneck kung fu and he's doing all this stuff and it's so fun and it's so organic and it's so natural. And then I think the reason that we have such good chemistry is because we're both the same, but like polar opposites. Like he's emitting such like good vibe energy, and I'm emitting like the dickhead, like I hate you with all my guts. Like you know what I mean? Grumpy. So it's just grumpy. Yeah, probably a good word. So I think that's why it works so well. And then I also think it's kind of like that, not no expectations, but like the first time we wrestled, there was like not expectations. Then every time it's like, oh, okay, they had a good one last time. There's a little bit more expectation, I think a lot of it was like it started from like you wouldn't expect me and Mark Briscoe to have insane chemistry. Like before we wrestled like once, you wouldn't pick us out of a lineup and go like, who's going to have the most magical chemistry out of like these 10 people? Mark and Kyle. Like you just wouldn't do it. So I think it's just the fact that it is so organic. It is so natural. No one expected it to happen. Now we've had 4 singles matches, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah, 4 singles matches. And every time it's just been better and better. So I just can't wait to see what the 15th, 16th, 100th match looks like. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. When I was talking to Will Ospreay, and again, you know, people have their opinions. He mentioned that Jerry Lynn has really taken a liking to him, and behind the scenes has helped transform him from, you know, somebody that dominated the global scene for a long time into a really strong television wrestler. Is there anybody behind the scenes in AEW that you feel like is really looking out for you and molding you into the person that we see today?
I want you to guess who you think I'm going to say right now.
I would feel like Don Callis would be the answer.
There you
for
go.
that.
Ding, ding, ding.
Nailed it. Ring a ding ding. Yeah, Don
what's a piece of advice that Don Callis has given you that's really stuck with you?
It's hard because almost every week he's given me something. Man, it's just random little tidbits that like he'll send me gifts. He'll text me stuff. He'll be like, "Oh, you should watch this. You should watch this." And then like, yeah, it'll just be the funniest thing. Like before I go out for a match, he'll just be like, "Try and do this today." And I'll be like, "Yeah, okay." And then it's just, it's so, he has such experience, such cool knowledge. He's been around for so long, longer than I've been alive. You know what I mean? He's experienced so many different eras of wrestling. He has, such a great brain for it. And then he's also one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. I love hanging out with him now. So it's like,
Pretty funny.
he is hilarious. Yeah.
Skye, same question to you. Obviously, you're going to be back on the road here pretty soon, but pre-injury, was there anybody behind the scenes in AEW that you felt really looked after you?
There's definitely, like coach-wise, I feel like Dustin Rhodes, because like back when I started in 21, he would run women's trainings and we would all just practice and get to know each other and just roll around, and he would be like, all right, we're going to work on this today, and we would all just be like, okay, we're going to learn something, like whatever it may be. So Dustin was definitely a huge one, and he's like the sweetest human ever. Like when I first started working there, and my mom would be like, oh my God, you're bedazzling Dustin Rhodes' gear. And I'd like FaceTime her and be like, come here. And I'd go show her. And Dustin would be like, hi, Mom. My mom's like, oh my God, it's Dustin. I'm like, stop working out. But definitely Dustin. And then Madison Rain. I absolutely love Madison and her daughter, who I will steal one day. But
Don't do that. Jeez.
as my friend.
You
She's my
still
friend.
can't steal.
It does sound
children,
like a
Skye.
crime
My
when you
goodness.
imply stealing. Yes.
It's fine. But no, Madison, I love working with Madison. I love tagging with Madison. She would be like, stop doing crazy stuff, stop doing crazy shit, and be like, but it's fun. But yeah, Madison and Dustin are definitely like my top favorite people. I love working with them and learning from them and just them telling me to not do dumb shit.
Absolutely. Well, I've got 2 more questions before you guys go, because you guys have a busy day of media to do. Kyle, I want to ask, because it seems like whether Tony Khan's here or Rocky Romero's here or even Will Ospreay on Zoom, the topic of CMLL tends to come up. And last year you got to go over to Mexico, work a Friday night Arena Mexico show against Atlantis Jr. You came back to the Grand Prix a few months later. But I'm just curious, working as many places as you have, starting in Australia, doing New Japan, doing the UK Indies, now being an American TV wrestler, what jumped out to you about working CMLL and working Atlantis Jr.?
Man, it's that it's the passion, I think I want to call it. There's a special energy, I think, just because you realize how historic this building is, and like the amount of people that have wrestled there, and the amount of fans that have been there, and like it's So one of my favorite things about wrestling is just that feeling. It's the feeling you can't describe. When you walk into Arena Mexico, it's the same thing. I was literally like, I think the morning of the show, I got to go and check out the offices and like say hi to everybody and stuff. And I was walking through the building and I was just going like, this is crazy. They have like a case full of like all the masks of like hundreds of wrestlers. And I'm just sitting there going like, how am I here? How did I end up here? Like, and yeah, it's just that feeling of like, and then when it's full of fans as well, it just brings it to another level. They're just so crazy, so passionate. They got the air horns going the whole flipping time. Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool to be in there. Real cool energy.
Well, speaking of passionate fans, we'll end on this. By the time that everybody is watching this interview on Q101's YouTube channel, and please like this video and subscribe. Plenty of interviews with AEW wrestlers. Again, Tony Khan, Ricochet, Will Ospreay, Adam
And
Cole,
us.
and the like.
And us now.
And us and them, of course. It was just announced AEW will be running a residency at the Byline Bank Aragon Ballroom. That is going to be July 16th through the 31st. Tickets will be on sale the following Monday after this interview comes out. I cannot think of what that date is. What date is that?
Someone yell it at me. 18th? 19th.
I don't know my days.
May 19th, 10 a.m. Tickets on sale, AEWTix.com. I live down the street from the Aragon, so I can't wait.
Sick.
Hell yeah.
You better be at every single show.
Front row.
I'm going to be at every show.
Or else.
Front row.
Can I sit in the balcony? They've got a nice balcony there. I'm going to be front row.
No,
Yes.
What if I want to jump off the balcony? I can jump.
Skye,
It's a very big
Chill.
balcony. It's a very big balcony. I am curious, though, and I will ask this question to Kyle only because you got hurt doing the first AEW residency, and I don't want to trigger any PTSD. There's been a conscious effort with AEW over the last 7 or 8 months to film in these beautiful theaters and to shoot TV in these different venues. It has led to these incredible, intimate atmospheres where the crowd is so alive, and you feel it watching Dynamite and Collision every week, that there's a real pulse to AEW. I am curious as a performer, what has that been like shifting to some of these different venues?
Yeah.
And I would imagine having very lively crowds in all those venues.
Absolutely. Yeah. I obviously with wrestling, the crowd makes it. You know what I mean? That's the feeling I'm talking about. It doesn't exist without the crowd. And I think these venues, it's really reignited a lot of people's passion backstage, I want to say. I think, look, when you're wrestling in arenas, it's a different feeling. Like they're still cool. Yes, it's an arena, but when you have like these weird, wacky, like balconies up here and like theaters and all this, like it really brings out a different feeling to an arena. And I think, just that, that atmosphere, you can't replicate it. So yeah, it's really brought alive the wrestler's passion again, I want to say, because everyone's just like, they're so excited to get out there, so excited to be in the ring. We're so like blessed to have awesome fans that we get to wrestle in front of, and bringing that intimate atmosphere, it makes the experience better for everybody. Absolutely. Incredibly
well put. Kyle Fletcher, Sky Blue, thank you so much for your time. Again, AEW Beach Break, that is going to be tomorrow, Wednesday night at the Now Arena, which is, in essence, the birthplace of AEW, going back to All In 2018. Tickets available at AEWTix.com. I will be there. They will be there. And guys, thank you so much once again.
Been a pleasure. Thank you guys.